If it's Friday night, oh yes, it is Strictly Sports. Hello, friends. It's Anthony Flair here with you for our first Strictly Sports show of 2017. Glad to have you with us. Gotta say, it's gonna be one of our shorter shows. I'm gonna be quite honest. We don't have much on the docket tonight. We got 5 games on the docket that we're gonna preview, as well as our final NFL power rankings of the season. And before we start, unfortunately, I do have some bad news. Our other panelist, Girl MF, Michael Fletcher, will not be joining us tonight. I don't know if it's because of work commitments beyond his control or if he had plans with friends or anything like that. But I chatted with him a little earlier tonight, and I messaged him, and he informed me that he was not going to be on the show. He posted some YouTube videos on his channel, Braves Fan 95. You can check them out. They're up now. He did a preview of all the games that we're going to get into tonight, the 4 NFL playoff games and the College Football Playoff National Championship. So if you want to check those out, head on over to Braves Fan 95. Give those a whirl to see who MF thinks will move on to the divisional round in the NFL and who he thinks will be our next College Football Playoff National Champions. So with all that being said, I'm joined as always by Michael Bullock. Yes Movement's running the show here tonight. So with that being said, let's dive right on in. And we're going to start it off with the NFL playoffs. Of course, the NFL playoffs, they start tomorrow. If you can believe that. I mean, my goodness. I mean, time has just flown by so fast. And here we go. I mean, it feels like just yesterday we were getting ready to start another season, and now we're already in the postseason. Just unbelievable. So we'll catch you up to speed here. Over in the AFC, the New England Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs are our top 2 seeds. Therefore, they will not be competing in this round. We will see them next weekend. The Patriots will host their game next Saturday night, and the Chiefs will host their game on Sunday afternoon. Over in the NFC, the Dallas Cowboys and the Atlanta Falcons are your top 2 teams. They will not be competing in this round either. We'll see them next weekend as well. Dallas will play next Sunday afternoon, 4:30 or so. The Chiefs are at 1 o'clock, and the Patriots will be on next Saturday night at 8 o'clock on CBS, and then, I should say NBC will have that Chief divisional game at 1 o'clock next Sunday, and then Fox will have both NFC divisional games. Atlanta will host the first game next Saturday at 4:30, and next Sunday at around that same time, that will be when Dallas will have their games. So now that we have you all caught up on that, let's get into our first matchup of the wild card weekend. It starts in the AFC. We got the Oakland Raiders, the number 5 seed, one of the 2 wild card teams. They're going to be squaring off against the number 4 seed, Houston Texans, the winners of the AFC South. This game will be at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas, formerly Reliance Stadium. And this game will be broadcast on ESPN with a kickoff slated around 4:35. And just like during their Monday night game this year, same crew will be there. That, of course, is, Sean McDonough with John Gruden and Lisa Salters. I can confirm they will be at this game. And the spread favors the Houston Texans by 3.5 to 4 points. And this is the first ever playoff meeting between these 2 teams. They've never met in the playoffs before. Of course, the Raiders making it to the postseason for the first time since 2002. That was the year, of course, they went to the Super Bowl. And for the Houston Texans, it's nothing new for them. I mean, they've been in the playoffs before. And first time in a while. They were there last year, and of course we all remember what happened. Wound up getting the snot beat out of them by the Kansas City Chiefs a year ago, 30-0. These 2 teams did meet earlier this season on a Monday night in Mexico City, Estadio Azteca, and it was the Raiders who came away with the win, 27-20, on that Monday night back on November 21st, just before Thanksgiving. Houston leads the all-time series 6-4, but that's in the regular season. This is the first ever playoff meeting between these 2. And say it like this: If you are finding it difficult to get excited about a Connor Cook, Brock Osweiler quarterback matchup, I wouldn't blame you. Cook is expected to become the first quarterback ever to make his starting debut during the playoffs in the wake of the Derek Carr injury, while Osweiler gets another chance due to Tom Savage's concussion. I like Cook, but this is such a tough situation for him to go on the road against a good defense here in the playoffs, and therefore I'm going to give the edge to the Houston Texans. So I'm going to go with Houston to win this game. My final score is 21-14. Houston's at home, and they've only lost once there, and I mean, there's really nothing left for me to say on that. So Osweiler, I know, has been up and down in the whole 9 yards, but the thing is with the Raiders, I love Connor Cook. Don't get me wrong. I love Connor Cook's body of work when he was at Michigan State. You remember a couple of years ago during our college football broadcast, I was always waxing poetic about how great he was, him and Langford and Lippett and all those other guys in Michigan State. But going up against a solid defense, tough environment in Houston, if Derek Carr was playing, Oakland wins all day. But I don't have that much confidence in Connor Cook, especially at the NFL level. So I have to reluctantly give the edge to Houston. Honestly, I'm not all that excited about this game. I think this is the number 4 game of the week, if I'm being real honest with you. So that's all I can say about that. So I'm going with the Houston Texans to win it. Like I said, my final score, 21-14. Give me Houston. So Michael Bullock, come on in. I just got a buzz a little bit ago, so I got to check that. So while I check that, Michael Bullock, let's get your thoughts on this first wildcard matchup.
Yeah, like you said, of course, Connor Cook, what a way for him to get his first start in the NFL on the beginning of Wild Card Saturday. So, yeah, both teams basically struggled at the end of the season, and of course the Houston Texans with what they went through with their quarterback situation, going from Brock Osweiler to Tom Savage, and of course Tom Savage suffered a concussion, and of course now they had to go back to Brock Osweiler. And Oakland, they had the potential MVP in Derek Carr, and then he breaks his leg, and he's done for the year. And then they go to Matt McGloin, and what happened there? He gets hurt too, so now they have to go to Connor Cook, and I'll be quite honest. I have to like the Texans better because well, number one, they have a really good defense, and yeah, you still got Lamar Miller. You got their receivers of DeAndre Hopkins and Fuller. So yeah, and the Texans, I think they're going to be playing with motivation because of them losing in the wild card. Well, not just losing, but getting squashed by the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think this time around it's going to be a different story. I got the Houston Texans winning this one. Not really overly excited about this one either, but I'm going to go Houston 21, Oakland 14. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So, yeah, so with that being said, Florio, if you're back,
Yep.
You're back now. All right. So with that being said, let's move on to the next game in Wild Card Saturday, and which I will lead off on. And
Yes,
this one I think will be more entertaining.
Of the Saturday games, absolutely. I consider this the number 3 game overall, if you really think about it. As we switch over to the NFC side, it will be the number 6 seed, the Detroit Lions, one of the 2 NFC wildcard teams, squaring off against the number 3 seed, Seattle Seahawks, the winners of the NFC West. This game will be at CenturyLink Field in Seattle, Washington, and this game will be broadcast on NBC. And on the call for NBC, it'll be their top crew, of course, that being Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. They will be in Seattle for this one. And the spread favors the Seattle Seahawks by 8 points. And I can also tell you that this will also be the first ever playoff meeting between these two teams. And I do not believe they met this season. I'm pretty sure they did not. And I just want to check that to be sure. Yes, I do. I am correct on that. They did not meet in the regular season this year. They did meet last season. But Seattle leads the all-time series 8-5 in that regard. But this is not regular season. This is postseason, of course. So that's that. For another first-time playoff matchup with the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks, mainly because Seattle back in the day used to be in the AFC, as you know. So they've only been in the NFC since 2002. So because when the whole realignment went down. So all right, Michael Bullock, let's get you back in. Detroit Lions, Seattle Seahawks. You said this would be more entertaining of the two Saturday games. I agree with you 100%. I consider this number 3 overall. So tough task ahead for the Detroit Lions. Had a chance to win their first division title since '93. Unfortunately, that did not happen. They lost to Green Bay.
And host a playoff game.
Yeah, they would have hosted their first playoff game since
Ford Field.
'93. And it would have been the first ever at Ford Field. But unfortunately, that did not happen. So, Detroit started out so great, but they stumbled into the postseason, losing 3 in a row. All the great teams, the Giants, Dallas, and Green Bay, as I predicted they would. So, and Seattle is Seattle, but they had a rough time. They had a very rough time with the Niners to get in. So here we go. Detroit, Seattle, 12th man. Seattle a huge favorite. So can Seattle begin another postseason run here, Bullock, or does Detroit do the unthinkable and steal one in the 12th man?
Well, I mean, the thing is, of course, the Seahawks, they're playing at home. And, of course, they still got that defense led by Richard Sherman, Michael Bennett, and all that. Of course, they'll be going up against that offense led by Matthew Stafford and Marvin Jones. So Detroit, I mean, they could hang around, but we'll have to wait and see. But the thing is, they have to contain with the 12th man. We all know how noisy that stadium is, and yeah, it's not an easy task for teams to come into CenturyLink Field and beat the Seahawks on their home field. So I got the Seahawks winning this one. My final score, I'm gonna say 28-20. Seattle wins. I think Russell Wilson's gonna have a big game, not just passing the ball, but I think you'll see him make some scrambles out of the pocket and make some big plays with his legs, as we've seen him do so many times before. I think you'll see some big games from their receivers, Jermaine Kearse and Doug Baldwin, and also from Jimmy Graham, the tight end. And I think the defense, led by Richard Sherman, Michael Bennett, and the rest of the cast, I think they'll make just enough plays to stop the Lions. So give me the Seahawks to win it at home in front of the 12th man. Florio, it's yours.
I forgot to mention Michael Fletcher, MF. He has the Houston Texans also winning over the Oakland Raiders. And he also has Seattle in this game as well. So he said it was Seattle's to lose. I agree with that 100%. But I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit, gives them fits. I mean, because, they have been so competitive in just about every game this season. They've been a cardiac team all season long. That's one of the main reasons why they made it. But Detroit is a club that is in seemingly every game, and they can thank Matthew Stafford and a solid defense for that. And Seattle is a team that may be vulnerable considering how they finished the last month and nearly losing to the 49ers on Sunday. But it is still tough to bet against the Seahawks when they play at home, and they should prevail here. So There's no question about it. I got the Seattle Seahawks winning this game as well. My final score, 26-20. I got Seattle winning. Just like Bullock said, I got Russell Wilson having a solid game like he always does in the postseason. We'll see about Thomas Rawls in the running game and, the receiving core, like Bullock said, Jermaine Kearse, Doug Baldwin, Jimmy Graham. And, of course, the defense, the Legion of Boom, Richard Sherman, Michael Bennett and company. I think they'll get to Stafford, but I do think Stafford will have a solid game. Golden Tate, Marvin Jones. I think they'll have solid games, but ultimately, Seattle, too damn tough in Seattle. So I'm going with the Seabags in this one, 26-20. That's my final. So give me the Seahawks in this one. So now we move on to the Sunday slate of games, and we started off with the early game, the afternoon game. This will be at 1:05 Eastern time, a 1 o'clock kickoff, as it will be the Miami Dolphins squaring off against the Miami Dolphins, the number 6 seed in the AFC, the other AFC wildcard team, along with the Oakland Raiders. They're going to be squaring off against the number 3 seed, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the winners of the AFC North. This game will be on CBS, and on the call for CBS, you know who it is. Hello, friends. Yep, it is indeed Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson. But wait, there's more. Evan Washburn is going to be working this game as well. So there you go. So it'll be Nantz, Simms, Wolfson, and Washburn. They will be working this Dolphins-Steeler game at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on Sunday. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, huge favorites, 10.5-point favorites, if you can believe that. 10.5-point favorites. I think it's because of the quarterbacking situation. That's all I can think of. And these two teams met earlier this season, back on October the 16th in Miami, and the Miami Dolphins won that game 30-15. Not only did they beat the Steelers, they also beat up on Ben Roethlisberger to the point when they knocked him out of the game. They injured him. So there's that. And they have met in the postseason before 3 times. And the Miami Dolphins lead that postseason series 2-1. First meeting was in 1972. They met in the AFC Championship game at the old Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. Miami Dolphins won that game 21-17. That was, of course, during the Dolphins' undefeated season of 1972. Of course, they not only went on to the Super Bowl, but they went on to win it by defeating the Washington Redskins in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Second meeting was in 1979, also at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. This was an AFC divisional playoff game, and the Pittsburgh Steelers won that game by a score of 34-14. And they went on to win the Super Bowl that season as well against the LA Rams in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. And their last playoff meeting, got to go back to 1984. They met in the AFC Championship game, and that was at the old Orange Bowl in Miami, and the Miami Dolphins won it 45-28 to advance to Super Bowl 19, only to lose to the San Francisco 49ers in Stanford Stadium in Palo Alto. So 2-1 in favor of the Miami Dolphins when it comes to the postseason history of these two. I got to say this. Adam Gase has done a wonderful job in his debut season with the Dolphins to get to the playoffs after a 1-4 start. But without Ryan Tannehill under center, and even if he was, I don't think this will be a great matchup for them. The Steelers have not lost in a month and a half, even with a number of close calls in a row. But with how good their offense can be, and with how inconsistent Miami can be on the defensive end, I got to go with the Steelers at home. So I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game. My final score, 30-20 in favor of Pittsburgh. I see Ben Roethlisberger having a huge game. I think Le'Veon Bell's going to have a big game as well. And Antonio Brown, I see him having a big game as well. I think the defense will get to Matt Moore. And Moore, I think, will have a solid game. He's had some solid games with the exception of the Patriot game last Sunday. But, you still got Jay Ajayi, but I don't think he's going to do much of anything. And the receiving core with Landry and Parker and Stills and them, I think they'll have solid games, but I don't think it's going to be enough to beat the Steelers, especially in Pittsburgh. And it's going to be cold in Pittsburgh, my friends. It's going to be very cold. I mean, from what I read, I mean, I'm not a meteorologist and I don't play one on TV. Believe me, I don't. And of course, this is the kind of thing that Derek Ferreira, the man responsible for all of this, Derek Ferreira is a huge weather guy. He's our resident meteorologist, if you will. And I was checking the weather reports for all our playoff cities this week. And of course, we don't have to worry about Houston because that's an indoor stadium, as you know. That's a retractable roof dome stadium. We're not going to worry about Houston. I read that Seattle was supposed to be about 39 degrees or something like that, right around that. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be like bone chilling cold down in Seattle for that Lions Steelers game tomorrow night. But according to my weather notes, they're actually going to be getting some snow. They're gonna get snow in Seattle. You always hear about the rain in Seattle. They're getting snow. This is slated to be a 5 or 6 o'clock kickoff or so down there. So we're looking at about 35 degrees at game time, and actually I think it's going to be 35 degrees straight through kickoff and end of the game, and it looks like they're going to be playing under snowy conditions. So that's going to be very interesting to see what happens down in Seattle because they're always well known for getting a lot of rain down there, but they're going to be getting snow for tomorrow, and it's going to be cloudy with snow showers changing to rain showers as the night progresses. So yeah, that should be most interesting down there, and it's about a 60%, 40 to 60% chance that they're going to get something down there. And as far as Pittsburgh is concerned, like I said, ooh, Lordy, you're not going to believe what it's going to be like for Sunday when it comes to this matchup. 1 o'clock kickoff, so that should be a good thing, and they're going to have some bone-chilling cold down there in Pitt, I'll tell you. And as soon as I get my numbers here, bear with me for a minute. The next one should do it. 1 o'clock kickoff. It's slated to be 18 degrees with a wind chill of 4. And at game's end, we should be looking at somewhere between 17 to 18 degrees with a wind chill of 5 to 6. It's going to be bone-chilling cold in Pittsburgh, so I hope those boys prepare themselves to keep warm because this is definitely not Miami weather. Let me tell you that right now. So, and besides, Roethlisberger's got revenge on his mind against the Dolphins because the Dolphins beat them bad, and knocked Big Ben out. So there's really nothing left for me to say on that. So I got the Steelers winning 30-20. Michael Bullock, let's get you on in. Dolphins and Steelers. The number 2 game of the week, as far as I'm concerned, because of the lineage of these two teams. And brother, it's gonna be a bone killer. It's gonna be a bone chiller in Steel City on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. So, yeah, those Pittsburgh fans are definitely gonna have to bundle up come Sunday afternoon. Yeah, we know Miami's not used to. They have a tough time playing cold weather, and I think this will be no different. And obviously, with the quarterback situation, Matt Moore is going to be the starter. Excuse me. Yeah, Matt Moore's done really good at quarterback for them, but look, this is the playoffs, and it's a totally different story come playoff time. And now you got a healthy Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown. They're finally going to be playing together in the playoffs for the first time because, remember, 2 years ago, it was Le'Veon Bell who didn't play in the game because of a knee injury, and then of course Of course, last year, well, they did have Antonio Brown for they didn't have Le'Veon Bell for the playoffs again, but Antonio Brown played in the wild card round. But of course, we all know what happened there. He got hurt in that game, so now all three of them are going to be playing together. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch when it comes to this. And I mean, yeah, Miami's got a. I mean, you got Stills, you got Landry, you got Jay Ajayi. Let's face it, Pittsburgh to me is definitely the better team. So with that being said, I'm gonna go with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this one. Final score is gonna be 34 to 20. Roethlisberger's gonna have a solid game. Le'Veon Bell will have a solid game. So will Antonio Brown. So yeah, so really nothing more to say except Pittsburgh wins. So with that being said, Florio, let's move on to our final wild card game of the entire weekend. And this one we're gonna have a lot of fun with, and these two certainly have a history of facing one another in the playoffs.
They sure do, Bullock. They sure do. And MF also has, I believe he also had Pittsburgh winning that game against Miami. So I know that had to have been very hard for him to go against his own team, but it is what it is. So, yep, like Bullock said, we move on to the main event of Wild Card Weekend. No doubt, this is the game of Wild Card Weekend right here. It's going to be the number 5 seed in the NFC, the New York Giants, the other wild card team with the Detroit Lions. They're going to be squaring off against the number 4 seed, the Green Bay Packers, the winners of the NFC North. This game will be played on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Fox will have it, 4:40 kickoff. You know who's going to be there for this one. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, and a fourth reporter as well, Chris Myers. He will be on the call as well. So Aaron Andrews and Chris Myers will be roaming the sidelines with Buck and Aikman, whereas, Tracy Wolfson and Evan Washburn will be roaming the sidelines with Nansen Sims in Pittsburgh. So there's that. Spread favors the Green Bay Packers by between 5 and 5.5. And they met earlier this season in Lambeau back on October the 9th, and the Green Bay Packers won that game by a score of 23-16. And so there's that. And then Bullock says playoff history. Oh, yes, this playoff history, significant playoff history. They've met 7 times in the postseason before, and the Packers lead that playoff series by a count of 4-3. First meeting was was all the way back in 1938. They met in the old NFL championship game, and the Giants won it 23-17 in New York. I think that was back when the Giants were at the old Yankee Stadium or the Polo Grounds or somewhere in that neighborhood. 1939, they met again, NFL championship, this time in Milwaukee. Packers won 27-0. 1944, another NFL championship game. Packers won it. They stole one in New York, 14-7. And then in 1961, they met again, another NFL championship. Packers won 37-0 at Lambeau. 1962, yet another NFL championship game. Packers won 16-7 in New York. And their next postseason meeting after 62 would not be until 2007. And boy, howdy, did they meet in one of the greatest NFC championship games of all time. On a very frozen, frigid night in Lambeau Field. The Giants won it 23-20 in overtime on a Lawrence Tynes field goal, sent them to Super Bowl 42. You know the rest of the story. Bullock, I love and respect you too much.
I'll never forget that, especially Tom Coughlin's face.
Right.
I mean, I thought it was going to fall off.
I know. I thought he was going to have to. I thought he was going to have to get some work done on that, but thankfully he didn't have to.
This is like the one time you would want to watch a game at home or at a bar.
I was home. I know where I was. I was in the confines of my home. I was watching that very, very closely. Giants won that in overtime. It ranks up there as one of the greatest NFC championship games of all time. 5-star classic Shakespearean drama which pretty much signaled the end of the Brett Favre era in Green Bay. He threw that interception that set it up, and the Giants won it in OT. Giants went on to the Super Bowl. You know how that story ends. Unfortunately, it was not a happy ending for Michael Bullock and Patriot Nation, as the Giants kept the Patriots from an undefeated season. New England had a chance to go undefeated. They had a chance to go 19-0. Giants said, not on our watch. And that's what happened. Greatest Super Bowl ever. I still consider it that way in Super Bowl 42. And then their last playoff meeting came in 2011. NFC divisional playoff. Giants stole another one at Lambeau, 37-20. You remember the Packers that year, they went 15-1. They were the odds-on favorites to go to the Super Bowl and win it. Giants weren't having it. And the Giants would then, of course, go on to the Super Bowl again against the Patriots, and they beat the Patriots again in Super Bowl 46 in Indianapolis. So 4-3 is the all-time playoff history between these two. So, all right, Michael Bullock, let's get you on in. I think I've pretty much gone over all the schematics here. I believe Fletcher said he had Green Bay winning. So, all right, Bullock, here we go. The game of Wild Card Weekend right here, and it's only fitting. It's the main event of it. Giants, Packers, 8th time they're meeting in the playoffs. Are we going to get another instant classic on what is going to be yet another frigid day at Lambeau, according to my weather forecast here? I mean, at kickoff, the game time temperature is expected to be somewhere between 13 and 14 degrees with a wind chill of 3. And then at the end of the game, around 7, 8 o'clock or so, we're looking at temperatures between 12 and 13 degrees with a wind chill of 1. Brr. Bundle up, Packer fans. It's going to be just a little bit nippy out there. All right, Bullock. Giants, Packers, 8th time. Are we getting another 5-star classic that these two are capable of?
Oh, I think we're going to get another classic between these two. I mean, whenever they meet in the playoffs, you know it's going to be something special. I mean, even though the 2011 matchup really wasn't that much of a close one, unlike the 2007 NFC Championship game between the two. So, let me get to. Yeah, like you said, they met in 2007 and 2011. And of course, it'll be once again another similar storyline heading into this wild card game. Of course, the Giants lost to the Packers back in Week 5, 23-16. So they'll look to turn the tables in Green Bay in a playoff rematch on Sunday. Eli Manning has as many playoff wins at Lambeau Field as his counterpart, Aaron Rodgers. Manning is 2-0, while Rodgers is 2-2. In what should be a tremendous matchup of strength versus strength, it will be the Rodgers-led Packers offense against a superb Giants defense. Behind a late-season scoring binge with 4 consecutive games of 30-plus points, the Packers finished the league ranked 4th in scoring with 27 points per game. The Giants, who allowed 10 points or fewer in 3 of their last 4 games, finished 2nd in the league with 17.8 points allowed per game. Green Bay has been strong on 3rd down and in the red zone, ranking 2nd and 10th in those categories respectively. The Giants, however, finished 2nd on 3rd down and 1st in the red zone. Rodgers pushed himself into the MVP conversation with a string of sensational games down the stretch. After proclaiming the Packers could run the table and win their final 6 games, Rodgers threw 15 touchdown passes and no interceptions with a passer rating of 122.8 to help the Packers finish 6-0 and win the NFC North with a record of 10-6. Rodgers threw a league-high 40 touchdown passes for the season and didn't throw an interception in his final 245 attempts of the season. The Giants' pass defense, however, has been superb. It finished 2nd in the league in lowest opponent passer rating. Quarterback Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie 6, and safety Landon Collins with 5. They finished in the top 5 in interceptions, with Collins and quarterback Janoris Jenkins achieving Pro Bowl status. With those 3 combining for 14 interceptions, the Giants were one of only 2 teams to finish with more interceptions than touchdown passes allowed. On the other side of the ball, which Manning will show up for the postseason? Well, it will be Eli, but which Eli? Will it be the one who piled up 15 touchdowns against 2 interceptions and leading the Giants to Super Bowl titles in 2007 or 2011? Or will it be the one who threw 2 touchdowns against 6 interceptions in one and done playoff seasons in 2005, 2006, and 2008? Manning didn't have a great season. He completed a career high 63% of his passes, but three quarterback only 3 quarterbacks eclipsed his 16 interceptions. But he'll be attacking a porous pass defense that has one starting quarterback on injured reserve, which is Sam Shields, another in the concussion protocol in Quentin Rollins, and another battling a knee injury in Demarius Randall. Rollins was ruled out of the contest on Friday, while Randall is listed as questionable. Giants defensive end Jason Pierre-Paul with a hernia will also sit out. So I expect another classic here, but I think this time around the Packers, I think they're going to get it done. I just don't see them losing 3 straight times in the playoffs to the Giants. I think they get it done this time. My final score, I'm going to say 31-24. The Packers win. Aaron Rodgers will have a big game. And Randall Cobb, if he plays, I think he'll have a solid game as well. So the Giants will the Packers will finally get a win over the Giants. So there's really nothing more to say. So Florio, what do you say? Do the Giants get it done again? Or can the Packers finally reverse fortunes from their 2 losses to the Giants in the playoffs and finally get it done?
I say they finally get it done. I mean, have you seen how hot this team has been, Bullock? I mean, good grief. I mean, not only has this team been hot, but what about Aaron Rodgers? I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers has cemented himself, has just justifiably thrown his hat into the ring for NFL MVP. I mean, you touched on those numbers, man. I mean, you want to talk about playing like an American hero. I mean, I've gone on the record and called Aaron Rodgers an American hero. I mean, I'm sounding like Colin Cowherd, when he had that man crush on Tom Brady, back during his days on Sports Nation. And that's the way I feel about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I love his body of work. He is so fun to watch. And, these last, 6 games, 6 games, because they were 4-6. And I mean, last year, it was the whole RELAX thing. This year, he said they could run the table after that 4-6 start, and I cannot believe it. They actually, by God, did it. And they had some tough competition along the way, including the Detroit Lions on that Sunday night game that won them the division yet again, 31-24 there. So, oh, man. Green Bay was able to practically come back from the dead to win the NFC North and to host this game as Aaron Rodgers put the team on his back to win their final 6 games. And let's just say, and I'm going to say it like this, they will be in the top 3 in the power rankings when we get to that in a little bit. New York has won at Lambeau Field the last 2 meetings in the playoffs, like Bullock alluded to, and only went on to win the Super Bowl each time. There aren't many defenses playing better at the moment, and their pass defense is very good, making this a tricky matchup for the Packers. But I do think that Aaron Rodgers will do enough to crank out a huge victory. So I'm in agreement here. I'll make it unanimous. I got the Green Bay Packers winning this game as well. My final score, 28-24. Green Bay wins behind yet another big game from Aaron Rodgers. The running game, I know Christine Michael, I think, is the top guy in that. But you gotta also watch out for Ty Montgomery. I think Montgomery's gonna have another huge game. Jordy Nelson, another big game. I see him having one. The rest of that receiving core, Richard Rodgers, Devontae Adams. Hopefully they'll have Randall Cobb ready to go because I know Randall Cobb's been battling an ankle injury. He hasn't played in a while, so hopefully they'll get him back because he's fun to watch too. The Giants, Eli Manning, I expect him to have another big postseason performance from him. You know how good he is in the postseason. The running game, Paul Perkins and Rashad Jennings. We'll see what they do. Perkins has been playing well recently, and the receiving core with Victor Cruz and Odell Beckham Jr. and Sterling Shepard and company. I think they can play well, but ultimately, Green Bay is the hottest team. Is one of the hottest teams right now. Of course, New England and Pittsburgh, the others. And those three teams are the top three in the power rankings when you get there. Not in that particular order, but I'm just saying. So, but with the way Green Bay has been playing right now, I don't expect the hot streak to end anytime soon. So even though it's going to be very chilly at Lambeau, it's going to be just as chilly at Lambeau as it will be in Pittsburgh. I got the Green Bay Packers winning this game. No question about that. My final score is 28-24. The Green Bay Packers get it done. Finally get the giant jinx off their back, and it'll be onward and upward for the Green Bay Packers. So should be some great action throughout Wildcard Weekend. We're really looking forward to sitting down and watching the games tomorrow and Sunday. So there's that. And now we move on to our next moment here. Monday night, the college football playoff national championship game. And how about this? We got ourselves a rematch. The number 2 Clemson Tigers squaring off against the number 1 reigning, defending, undisputed college football playoff national champions, the Alabama Crimson Tide. 8 o'clock Eastern, Monday night, ESPN, from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, the home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Samantha Ponder, Tom Rinaldi, they will all be there for this national championship game. The spread favors the champions. It favors Alabama, 6 to 6.5. They're basically a touchdown favorite to beat Clemson. Alabama got here with a 24-7 whooping of Washington in the Peach Bowl in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. And then from there, Clemson, they got back to the title game with a 31-0 beatdown of the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Fiesta Bowl at University of Phoenix Stadium. So, oh my, here we go. There just might be an antidote to Alabama's best in the nation defense. His name is Deshaun Watson. Clemson's junior quarterback rolled up 478 yards and directed the Tigers to 40 points in last season's national championship loss to the Tide. He's back for more, especially a ring, when number 1 Alabama and number 2 Clemson play Monday in Tampa for this season's title. Deshaun Watson has played big in every game since he's been at Clemson, Tigers coach Dabo Swinney said. I think he's played great his whole 3 years. I mean, great. If anybody is going to unravel the Tide, it's Watson. He's an athletic, dual threat. He has a big arm and go-deep receivers. That all means big plays. You don't beat Alabama with methodical 12-play, 75-yard drives. You need chunk plays. You need splash plays. Clemson carved up Alabama with 10 plays of 20-plus yards last season. Contrast that to Saturday when the Tide allowed one such play, a 20-yard pass in a dominating 24-7 semifinal victory over Washington. I thought he played fantastic against us last year, Alabama coach Nick Saban said of Watson. He may be arguably the best player in college football. The guy is very athletic. He's got a great understanding of their offense. He does a really good job of executing for his team. He can extend plays. He can run quarterback runs, and he's a terrific passer. I mean, he is the complete package. The knock on Watson, the Heisman runner-up this season and third-place finisher last year, are his 30 interceptions in 29 games in the past 2 seasons. While that might be disconcerting for Clemson fans, it's probably not as distressing as losing your offensive play caller the week before the season's biggest game. That's the highly unusual position Alabama is in after Saban parted ways with Lane Kiffin on Monday, saying that Kiffin hasn't been able to successfully juggle 2 jobs since accepting the head coaching position at Florida Atlantic. Saban elevated offensive analyst Steve Sarkisian to coordinator. Sarkisian has been involved with the planning of the offense this season, but by NCAA rule, wasn't able to coach at practice or otherwise instruct the players. Now Sarkisian directs freshman quarterback Jalen Hurts and tries to find a play-calling rhythm against the Clemson defense, coming off a 31-0 shutout of Ohio State. Hurts has many of the same qualities as Watson, just in a younger package. In fact, when he enrolled early at Alabama at last year's winter break, he played the role of Watson on the Tide scout team in preparation for the title game, won 45-40 by the Tide. Hurts was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, directing an offense that was best when it played up-tempo. Alabama often relied on its ground attack, led by Hurts and running backs Damian Harris and Bo Scarborough. But it has multiple threats in the passing game, including receivers Ardarius Stewart and Calvin Ridley and tight end O.J. Howard, the offensive MVP of last season's championship game. I guess you've got some nuances that might be a little bit different, maybe from a play call or something like that, but it's not like they're going to come out and run the triple option, Sweeney said of Alabama's change of coordinators. They're going to do what they do. It's just as simple as that. Why would they change? Nobody has stopped them. Alabama, going for its 5th title in 8 seasons, leads the country in total defense, scoring defense, and rushing defense. Clemson is salty too, 7th in scoring defense and 8th in total defense. One mistake by either quarterback could be the difference. Alabama has scored 11 times on defense this season and will be hunting off-target throws by Watson. Clemson, as is its usual strategy under coordinator Brent Venables, will bring defensive pressure and force Hurts to make quick decisions and complete passes in the intermediate and deep zones. No true freshman quarterback has led his team to the national championship since 1985 when Jamel Holloway did so for Oklahoma. Will quarterback experience matter? Will defenses rule? Clemson is going for its first national title since 1981. And Sweeney said these Tigers have more juice than the 2015 squad. Meanwhile, at Alabama, winning never gets old. When you play an outstanding opponent, that's something that in and of itself, as a competitor, is motivation, Saban said, and that's certainly the case in this game. Wow. Last year's game was a 5-star classic. Let's not kid ourselves. It was a 5-star classic, chock full of the finest Shakespearean drama you will ever see. And I can honestly say last year's title game was the greatest national title game I ever saw. And we always ask the question, will the sequel be better than the original? I'll be honest, I hope so. I really do. Will it be? It can be, but I don't know if it will be. I do have a little bit of some doubt. Because, whenever Alabama, the last few times we've seen Alabama lately, they've been beating people and taking names. That's what they've been doing. Michael Fletcher, in his video earlier, he predicted Clemson was going to pull the upset. Because you know how high he's been on Clemson the last couple of years. And when we did our preview show before the season started, he had Clemson winning the national championship. And he's not backing down from that statement. So he's got Clemson winning it all. He has Clemson winning it 38-35 over Alabama. As much as I love and respect and appreciate anything that Good Ol' MF says, I'm sorry, MF. I gotta respectfully disagree with you. Reigning supreme and winning again. I had Alabama going all the way yet again, and I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to do it again. I mean, I consider them like the New York Yankees of college football. They remind me of the Yankees of like the 90s and 2000s. They're also like Bullock's Patriots, for goodness sake. They're like the New England Patriots. They always find a way to win. And what I've seen from this out, Clemson looked amazing against Ohio State. I will give them that. They looked absolutely amazing. That game was an absolute dud. And a colossal disappointment. I thought that game was going to be a 5-star game, especially with that game being in Arizona, University of Phoenix Stadium, the hotbed for Shakespearean drama for the last 10 years or so. I cannot believe that game ended up being a dud. I couldn't believe it. I'm praying that this game is not a dud. I do not want this game to be a dud. A game of this magnitude has to be a 5-star classic. Has to be chock full of Shakespearean drama. And I am hopeful that we'll get it here. They gave us a heck of a lot of it last year. I hope for the same again, but I'm not sure if it will be. But Jalen Hurts will have a big game. Bo Scarborough, big game for him. O.J. Howard, Darius Stewart, rather, Calvin Ridley, and the rest of that offensive unit. I think the defense will make some plays as well. And but Clemson, they got some big playmakers too. They got Deshaun Watson, they got Wayne Gallman, they got Mike Williams, Artavis Scott, Deion Kane, Hunter Renfro. I love both of these teams' offenses. They got some solid defenses as well. But as we always say, in a situation like this, in a championship matchup, you always have to go with the champion until the champion gets beat. And with how damn dominant Alabama's been, looking for 5 titles in 8 years under Nick Saban, how can you go against that? I'm rooting for Clemson, honestly. I would love to see Clemson win. They haven't won it since 81, but until I see a team that can beat Alabama, I cannot for the life of me go against the Alabama Crimson Tide. So with that being said, I've got Alabama winning it all yet again. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as last year, but I do think this will be another exciting game. I think it could come down to something at the end. I really do. So my final score, I'm going 31-28. Alabama repeats as college football playoff national champions, and the dynasty continues in Tuscaloosa. And for Jason Hixenbaugh and all those rabid Alabama fans, roll Tide, roll. Period. End of statement. End of quotation. Michael Bullock, let's get you on in. National championship, the rematch. Does the Alabama dynasty continue, or does Clemson finally end the Bama dynasty and win their first title since 81?
I think the Alabama dynasty continues. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with Michael Fletcher as well. Alabama's just too damn good. Defensively, I like their body of work. The offense, led by Jalen Hurts, has been solid. And now they're going to be led by the new offensive coordinator, Steve Sarkisian. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of a game plan Steve Sarkisian will have for the offense. So, Clemson will definitely make it close, no doubt about it. But in the end, Alabama's basically just too much. So there's really nothing more to say. So I got Alabama winning this one. I'm going to go 34-31. Alabama repeats as college football playoff national champions. The dynasty continues. And I'm going to end it with that quote. Roll, Tide, roll.
That's right. All right. So that all goes down Monday night. And now it's time for our final Strictly Sports NFL Power Rankings for this 2016-2017 season. I'll say it like this. My top 3, absolute no-brainers. I already know who I have as 1, 2, and 3. That's a given. 4 through 10, I'm not going to lie, it will be a chore. It's going to be quite a bit of a chore. So, but then again, maybe my top 4. Actually, no, maybe my top 5 are actually no-brainers. 6 through 10, though, that's going to be a little tough. But you know us, we're always up for the challenge, and that's all I can say on that. So, top 5 absolute no-brainers. That's all I can say on that, based on the events of last week. So, all right. So with that being said, let's dive on in. Let me see. Who do we have here? It's going to start. I do have a dud. One of those duds, well, the dud happens to be the Washington. I have two duds, as a matter of fact. Even though they made the playoffs and they were a wild card team, Oakland Raiders. I'm sorry. I have to put them as a dud team because of the fact that, they just let the Denver Broncos walk all over them. So because of that, Oakland, you're gone. Simple as that. And I have another dud, yet another playoff team. But after what I saw this past week, they don't deserve to be in the rankings either. And that's the Miami Dolphins, especially after what the Pats did to them in Miami. So Raiders are out. Dolphins are out. No question on that. And I have two other duds. The Houston Texans, they're out after losing to Tennessee. And my final dud, there's no doubt about this one, the Washington Redskins. I mean, the Washington Redskins, ugh. You had a golden opportunity to win at home against the Giants, who were not really playing all of their starters, really. And they found a way to screw that up. I couldn't believe it. So that's all I can say about that. So with that being said, I'm going to start it off at number 10. And my number 10 is going to be the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos crack the top 10 of the final rankings, beating up on the Oakland Raiders, winning, I believe it was like 24-6 or something like that. I mean, they dominated the Oakland Raiders in that final game. Disappointing end. I mean, it was a good end to a disappointing season, as they did not make the playoffs. They just missed the postseason. And of course, their head coach Gary Kubiak announcing his retirement. So they'll be looking for a new coach. We'll find out who that is soon enough. Hopefully, he'll get the Broncos back where they once were. They beat the Raiders 24-6. Defense had 2 sacks and an interception of Connor Cook. Trevor Siemian with 2 touchdown passes in the win. Devontae Booker with a rushing touchdown. And, defense played well enough. A couple of sacks. Dakota Watson and Shane Ray had the sacks. And they also had an interception return for a touchdown. Justin Simmons, a 45-yard interception return for a touchdown. They just absolutely dominated the Raiders. Raiders looked absolutely lifeless against the Denver Broncos, and that's one of the reasons why I have Oakland losing to Houston in that wild card game. But that's all I can say about that. So they finished 9-7, third in the West. A new Super Bowl champion will be crowned. So that's all there is to say on that. So my number 10 is the Denver Broncos. So Michael Bullock, do you agree with that, or do you have somebody else at number 10?
I agree. My number 10, it is the Denver Broncos as well. So, so there's really nothing more to say. I mean, you pretty much touched on everything on them. So let's move on to number 9.
Number 9. Let me see. Who do I have at number 9? All right, let me see. Just bear with me for a minute. Okay. I think I got it. My number 9 in this final power rankings of the year. Just want to make sure I have this right. Coming in at number 9 to end this final power ranking here. Let me see. I do have one quick honorable mention, and that honorable mention is the Arizona Cardinals. They just missed out on being 500. So that's all I can say on that. So my number 9, you know what? My number 9, I'm actually going to go with a team that I was kind of impressed by to close out the regular season, the Tennessee Titans. They finished 9-7. they beat the Houston Texans. They won 24-17, and they finished the year very nicely, 9-7. They are just short. I mean, if they didn't lose that game to Jacksonville, they would have won the division and they would have been in the postseason. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Defense played well. Defense recorded four sacks in the win. They sacked Brock Osweiler 3 times. They got to Tom Savage once, knocked him out. They shut down the running game, even though Osweiler had a rushing touchdown, calling his own number. Derrick Henry, a rushing touchdown. Matt Castle, a touchdown pass in the win. But this game was because of the defense. And Rashard Matthews, 114 yards receiving in a touchdown. I liked his body of work. And defense, I mean, Jarrell Casey, 2 sacks. Sean Spence and Damian Stafford with the other sacks. And yeah, like I said, it was that defense. The defense shut down Houston, made them look inept and made them look obsolete a little bit. So yeah, there's no question about this. Tennessee Titans are my number 9. So Bullock, what says you?
Yes, I agree with you. The Tennessee Titans, they're my number 9 as well. So yeah, nice win for them to close out the season. So there could be some upside for this team going into the 2017 season, especially if when they get a healthy Marcus Mariota back. So
Absolutely.
So I'm really expecting a lot from this team next season. So the Tennessee Titans are my number 9. So let's move on to number 8.
My number 8, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are my number 8. I mean, they just missed the postseason. They had some bad losses down the stretch to close the season, but they closed out nicely with a nice win over the Carolina Panthers to close out the regular season. One other honorable mention I had that, in addition to Arizona, I also had the Minnesota Vikings as my other honorable mention. They beat the Carolina Panthers 17-16, finished the year 9-7. Like I said, just short of the postseason. Those 2 bad losses at Dallas and at New Orleans really hurt them in the long run. The New Orleans one, that's the one that really, really killed their season. So had they won that game, then I think they would have been in. But unfortunately, that New Orleans loss really hurt them. Jameis Winston threw a touchdown pass and whatnot, but another great defensive performance. I mean, the Buck defense, 3 sacks and 3 interceptions of Cam Newton. They really made Cam Newton's life miserable last Sunday. Offense didn't really do much of anything. A couple of field goals. Jameis Winston with a touchdown pass to Mike Evans. And the defense, like I said, including an interception return touchdown by Brent Grimes. And you look at it, 3 sacks, 3 interceptions. Robert Ayers Jr. with 1 sack, and Levante David with 2 sacks, 3 interceptions in total. Keith Tandy had 2 of them, totaling 28 yards. And Brent Grimes with that, like I said, that 31-yard interception return touchdown. So another based on defensive dominance, 3 sacks and 3 picks of last year's NFL MVP. So well done, Bucks. You want to talk about another team that has tremendous upside going into the 2017 season? There's another one. Watch out for Tampa. I got high hopes for Tampa. I think Tampa Bay is going to be a dark horse next year in the NFC. I really do. Solid defense, halfway decent offense with Jameis Winston in the whole 9 yards, and Mike Evans and Doug Martin. So that's all I can say. So watch out for Tampa next year. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are my number 8. So Michael Bullock, how about it?
Yes, my number 8 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. So, and I agree. This team is definitely another team to keep an eye on going into next season. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So, So Florio, let's move on to number 7.
Number 7 in our power rankings. This is another easy. I mean, this now it's starting to get easier now as I'm looking at the body of work in the whole 9 yards. My number 7, I got to go with the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks are my number 7. I mean, 10-5-1, winners of the NFC West. The only reason why I didn't rank them higher was because of the fact that they just barely got by the San Francisco 49ers this past week. I mean, that I would have liked to have seen them win that game a little more decisively, but unfortunately they did not do that. They did just enough to get the win. And the theme of this power ranking so far is defensive dominance. And the Seattle defense recorded 5 sacks of Colin Kaepernick in that game. And Wilson, 258 yards, threw a touchdown pass. He had no interceptions, played very well. He did get sacked once, but that's okay. Boykin got some playing time, had a solid outing, 4 of 6 for 42 yards. Rawls had a rushing touchdown. The running game needs work, serious work. Receiving corps didn't really do much of anything either. Like I said, it was the defense that pretty much carried this win, and 5 sacks for that unit, 2 for Bobby Wagner, and then 1 apiece for KJ Wright, Michael Bennett, and Frank Clark. And that's all I can say about that. So I would have liked to have seen a little more decisive win here, but nonetheless, they had a tremendous season, and they're going to be a team to watch for in the NFC playoffs coming up. So number 7, Seattle Seahawks. Bullock, how about it?
I couldn't agree with you more. The Seattle Seahawks are my number 7 as well. I mean, yeah, it certainly was a struggle for them in the regular season finale against the 49ers. I really wanted to see them win more convincingly as well, but hey, at least they got the win. So Seahawks are number 7. So Florio, let's move on to number 6.
My number 6, another easy one here, no question about this. The New York Football Giants are your number 6. They finished 11-5, second in the NFC East, only behind the Dallas Cowboys. I got to figure out where to put them in the rankings in just a little bit. They should be in there, even though they had that bad game against Philadelphia. So I'll get to them in a minute. But the Giants, though, they went into Washington. They beat the Redskins and found a way to do it. I mean, Eli Manning, 180 yards. He got sacked once. And what's been the theme of this power ranking so far? Defensive dominance and another dominant defensive performance. Look what the Giants did to the Redskins. Look what they did to Kirk Cousins. 4 sacks and 2 interceptions. That's going to get it done. And Paul Perkins, a 100-yard game on the rushing side. Wow. I can't remember the last time they had that. Jennings had a rushing touchdown as well. So give it up for that. I mean, the receiving corps didn't do anything. But the defense, man, 4 sacks by 4 different players. Leon Hall, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, Damon Harrison, and Landon Collins had the sacks. And Rodgers-Cromartie, though, he was the star of this game. He had a sack and also had both interceptions, totaling 28 yards, including a game-ending interception. And then the Giants returned, had a touchdown at the end of the game after Jordan Reed fumbled, and then Trevin Wade took it back for 11 yards, and that was it. So the Giants now going up against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday, the main event of Wild Card Weekend, the game of Wild Card Weekend. That's the game I'm looking forward to the most, hands down. So that's all I can say on that. So my number 6, the New York Football Giants. How about it, Michael Bullock?
Yes, I agree. The New York Giants. Yeah, we're at number 6, right?
Correct.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to lose myself. So, yeah, the Giants are my number 6. yeah, they definitely got some momentum going into their wild card matchup against the Packers. So we'll wait and see how they do. So the New York Giants are my number 6. So let's move on to the top 5, Florio.
Yes, indeed, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Into the top 5, and this is where I'm going to have my only tie in these power rankings. One of them, the Kansas City Chiefs, and my other number 5, I got to punish them, the Dallas Cowboys. I still think the Dallas Cowboys should still be in the power rankings. Even though they did lose, they lost quite badly to Philadelphia, but that was to be expected. But they had the best record in the NFC at 13-3, tying a franchise single season record. They lost by 2 touchdowns to Philadelphia. But Tony Romo threw a touchdown pass. He got some playing time, actually looked halfway decent to Terrence Williams. Prescott didn't do much of anything. But it was Mark Sanchez, though, that got dominated by that Philly defense. He got sacked 3 times and got picked twice. So that was definitely the difference maker. Defense only got 2 sacks of Carson Wentz. Like I said, they didn't really do anything. The only highlight on offense was Tony Romo finding Terrence Williams for that touchdown. It was all Philly, no doubt about it. 2 sacks for the defense, Randy Gregory and Jack Crawford, and that's it. So it was all about Philly. I mean, Philly dominated them from start to finish, but normally I severely punish teams. I have every right to not even have them in the power rankings, honestly. But you can't discount the body of work that Dallas had all season long, including that 11-game winning streak that pretty much.
And it was pretty much a meaningless game for them.
Right, it was a meaningless game. Whereas for the other teams,
it's not like they were trying to lose. I mean, they were trying to rest up guys.
Exactly. So
now, if this were the regular season, then we would say, yes, let's leave them out of the power rankings.
Yeah, and that's why we left out Oakland, because Oakland was playing for something. They were playing for a division championship, and they blew it, severely blew it. And Houston just had a tough loss altogether, and that's why I had to boot them out. So, but nonetheless, though, Dallas Cowboys are my first number 5, and my other number 5, the Kansas City Chiefs. Winners of the AFC West. They finished 12-4. They won their final 2 games. It started with that dominating performance over Denver on Christmas night, 33-10, and then last Sunday a 37-27 win over the San Diego Chargers. Couple that with the Raider beatdown loss to Denver. Kansas City wins the division and the first round bye. They're the number 2 seed in the AFC. Alex Smith, 2 touchdown passes. He got picked, but that's okay. Offense did a little more here. Phillip Rivers, the defense with 2 interceptions of Phillip Rivers, no sacks. Alex Smith had a rushing touchdown. He accounted for 285 all-purpose yards and 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing. And they held Travis Kelce in check. Travis Kelce, despite having only 1 catch for 8 yards, they still found a way to win. Charcandrick West, 2 touchdowns receiving, 58 yards, and a rushing touchdown as well. So he I stand corrected. 116 all-purpose yards, 58 each on both sides, rushing and receiving, 2 touchdowns there. A couple of picks for the defense. Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Peters. Shocker there. 16 total yards. But, this is a team that we want to watch for in the postseason. We'll see them next Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock on NBC at Arrowhead. We'll see who they go up against in the playoffs. So we'll see. So in my only tie in these power rankings this week at number 5, it is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys. Michael Bullock, let's get your number 5.
Yeah, and I agree with you with all those as well. Dallas Cowboys and Kansas City Chiefs are my number 5, and yeah, a lot of expectations for both teams going into the playoffs. I mean, I'm interested to see how Kansas City will do in the playoffs because, of course, no Jamal Charles, and they're without one of their uh, other defensive players, Derek Johnson, was another key part of that defense. And the other thing is, what about guys like who are like banged up, like Justin Houston and Spencer Ware? How 100% will they be come their first divisional matchup? That's something to keep an eye on, but we'll wait and see. But I still think they're the dark horse team to come out of the AFC to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. So based on their body of work, so nothing else to say. Number 5's Dallas Cowboys, Kansas City Chiefs. Let's move on to number 4.
I'll say it like this: the top 4, easy as pie. That's all I'm going to say right there. Easy as pie. My first number 4, the Atlanta Falcons. They finished the year 11-5. They closed the season on a 4-game winning streak in which they had easy wins over the Los Angeles Rams, San Francisco 49ers, and the Carolina Panthers. They had a dogfight with the New Orleans Saints, but that was to be expected. But they got it done, 38-32. They won the NFC South. They finished as the number 2 seed in the NFC. And this one, I mean, the defense played well. I mean, 2 sacks and an interception to Drew Brees, but this was the offense here. Matt Ryan, 331 yards, 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Freeman had 96 yards rushing and a touchdown. Julio Jones, 96 yards and a touchdown. And Justin Hardy, Mohamed Sanu, and Tevin Coleman with the other receiving touchdowns. A couple of sacks and a pick for the defense. Vic Beasley Jr. with a sack. And Grady Jarrett with the other, and the interception was by Jalen Collins. But this was all about the offense. I mean, the offense is clicking on all cylinders. I believe they scored the most points in the NFL this season. As I look at the final tallies for as to who scored the most points, and I believe Atlanta scored more points than any other team in the NFL this year. Oh, yes, 540 points. But the defense allowed 406. I am a little concerned about the defense going in, but the offense will keep them in it, and we will see them next Saturday. They're going to kick off divisional playoff weekend next Saturday at 4:35 on Fox in the Georgia Dome, and we'll see who they go up against. So, but this is a scary team going into the postseason, and I think this is the team that can definitely make some noise. So, that's all I can say on that. So, number 4, Atlanta Falcons. Michael Bullock, do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree. My number 4 is the Atlanta Falcons. So, yeah, and this is another team this is another one of my dark horse teams that I think that could come out of the NFC to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. Atlanta Falcons, number 4. So let's go to the top 3.
And I'll start off in the top 3. My number 3, the Green Bay Packers. Closed the year with a 6-game winning streak. And they finished the year 10-6, winners of the NFC North. They are the number 5 seed. They are the number 4 seed in the NFC. They'll be playing against the Giants this weekend in what should be a very entertaining game. I got that as the game of the weekend. They closed the year winning 6 in a row, winning in Philadelphia, at home against Houston, at home against Seattle. They had a tough one in Chicago, and they found a way to win that one. Beat up on Minnesota on Christmas Eve, and then knocked off the Lions in that exciting game on Sunday night. 31-24, another division title. Aaron Rodgers, 300 yards even, 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions, and even throwing 42 yards rushing. So he had himself a humongous game, further solidifying his MVP candidacy. Defense recorded 2 sacks and an interception of Matthew Stafford. Geronimo Allison, that's another name you got to watch for. Geronimo Allison, 91 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Adams, 2 receiving touchdowns. Aaron Ripkowski, another receiving touchdown. And like I said, a couple of sacks for the defense. Nick Perry and Blake Martinez had those sacks. Micah Hyde had the interception of Stafford. And I'm going to say right now, this is the team that you do not want to meet when it comes to the postseason. They're the hottest team in the NFC right now. And the Giants are going to, unfortunately, have to deal with them. And who knows? If Green Bay wins that game, they got to go to either Atlanta or Dallas. And I think they can definitely. I mean, this is the team that I'm scared of in the NFC. This is the team that I think can make some major noise in the NFC. Like I said, they were the hottest team. They're the hottest team going in. And with the way Aaron Rodgers has been throwing the ball, he keeps that up. Who knows? Maybe we could see the Green Bay Packers in Houston next month for Super Bowl 51. So that's really all I can say on that. So you do not want to face. This is the team that you do not want to face right now. And Giants, I know you'll give it a fight, but ultimately, I see this team making some major noise in this NFC playoff year. Number 3, Green Bay Packers. Michael Bullock, how about it?
I agree. My number 3 is the Green Bay Packers. So there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on to number 2.
My number 2, no question about this, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers, my number 2. They closed the season winning 7 in a row. They finished 11-5, winners of the AFC North. They're the number 3 seed in the playoffs. They're going to be squaring off against Miami on Sunday, a game that I ultimately think they will win. They barely got by the Cleveland Browns, but let's be realistic. 7 in a row. Winning in Cleveland, in Indianapolis on Thanksgiving, beat the Giants at home, won at Buffalo on a snowy day in Buffalo, won in Cincinnati, won an instant 5-star classic on Christmas night against Baltimore. I can't believe they barely got by Cleveland, but then again, they were resting their good players anyway, but they still found a way to beat Cleveland, denying Cleveland their first win in Pittsburgh since 2003. So the Dolphins are next, and you want to talk about teams you do not want to face in the playoffs. We talked about Green Bay as being the team that you do not want to face on the NFC side. Pittsburgh is the team that I do not want to face on the AFC side. And Miami is going to find that out firsthand on Sunday afternoon. But Landry Jones, though, 277 yards passing. He threw 3 touchdown passes. He was picked, and he was also sacked 4 times. But the defense did the same thing to RG3. They sacked him 4 times and also recorded an interception. And D'Angelo Williams, 67 yards and a touchdown in place of Le'Veon Bell, who was resting. And he also had a solid game on the receiving side, 27 yards and a touchdown. And Colby Hamilton, who caught that game-winning touchdown pass from Landry Jones, 26 yards, late in overtime to win it. 54 yards and a touchdown. DeMarcus Ayers had a receiving touchdown as well. And 4 sacks for the defense, like I said. Sean Davis, Bud Dupree, Jarvis Jones, and Daniel McCullers had those sacks. And Ryan Shazier had the interception of RG3. And, I mean, they found a way to get it done. Cleveland gave them some major fits. You know, they were coming off that their first and only win of the year by beating San Diego, but to no avail. The Browns find a way to blow it, and the Steelers find a way to win, and they win this game, and they'll be guaranteed a date with the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round. What a matchup that'll be if we see Pittsburgh against Kansas City, which I think will happen, and it would send either Oakland or Houston to New England. So this is the team that I do not want to see in the AFC. And Michael Fletcher went on the record during our preview. He said that this was the team that this was the team that was going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. They keep playing like they are right now, they could do just that. But there's one other team that is going to be in that conversation. And we're going to get to them in just a minute because they're our number 1 team. So Really nothing left for me to say here. Number 2, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 7 in a row, 11-5, AFC North title. Miami on the horizon. They should beat them, and then we'll possibly see them against the Chiefs next weekend. So what a game that would be. So nothing left for me to say. Pittsburgh Steelers number 2. Michael Bullock, do you agree or disagree with that?
Pittsburgh Steelers are number 2. I definitely agree with everything you just said. So let's move on to our number 1 team in our final NFL power rankings.
Gee, I wonder who it could be. We have to think about this for a moment. Oh, that's right.
I think we might need a little bit more time.
No, I think I got it.
I think we know.
Yeah, I hope this is the correct answer here. I'm praying this is the right answer. Please, God, let this be right. New England Patriots? Number 1? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. No, there's no doubt about this. It is the New England Patriots. Come on, let's be realistic. They too have won 7 in a row. They finished the season with the best record in all of the NFL, 14-2. They won the AFC East. They have the home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. Easy win over the Miami Dolphins, 35-14. And ever since that demoralizing loss to Seattle in that Super Bowl rematch on Sunday Night Football, which was just as much of a classic as the Super Bowl game was, they haven't lost since then. Beat up on the Niners, barely got by the Jets. They beat up on the Rams, barely got by the Ravens, manhandled the Broncos in that AFC Championship rematch, manhandled the Jets, and then went into Miami and beat a very good Dolphin team, had their way with the Dolphins in Hard Rock Stadium, which has been a house of horrors for them over the last few years. They won in Miami for the first time since 2012. 35-14 beatdown. All about the offense. Tom Brady, 3 more touchdown passes, 276 yards on the day. The only thing the defense did was an interception of Matt Moore. LeGarrette Blount had a rushing touchdown. And Julian Edelman, 151 yards receiving in a touchdown. Michael Floyd, a receiving touchdown. And how about Michael Floyd's efforts in that game? Amazing. And Martellus Bennett had a receiving touchdown as well. 1 interception for the defense. That was Logan Ryan. But it was all about the offense. And Tom Brady finishing this suspension-shortened season with 28 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. I mean, that is the best touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history. I mean, I really don't know what else there is for me to say on that. I mean, just absolutely dominated from start to finish. And before that, it was Nick Foles in Philadelphia a few years ago when he had 27 touchdown passes to 2 interceptions. Brady finished with 28 touchdown passes and only 2 interceptions. Just imagine what he could have done had he not been suspended for those first 4 games. So that's all I can say there. So another dominant year for the New England Patriots, and this is the other team that I feel is the best team that can represent the NFC and the AFC in the Super Bowl. It's between them and Pittsburgh. I feel like Pittsburgh and New England are on a collision course, and I don't know why, but I got this feeling in my gut that these are the 2 teams that we're gonna see in the AFC Championship game in Foxborough in a couple of weeks. And if we do, boy howdy, we could be looking at one of the greatest, if not the greatest, AFC title game of all time. The 2 hottest teams going in. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being that way. And then what? Who wins there? That's a lot to think about. But for right now, they are the number 1 team. It is the New England Patriots, 7 in a row, best record in all the land, 14-2. So that's all I can say about that. We'll see them next Saturday night in the divisional round. I think they'll most likely get the Houston-Oakland winner. So we'll see how that goes. So number 1, New England Patriots. Bullock, I'm sorry I had to mute you, but you were very distracting on the other sides. So go ahead, you can unmute now.
I didn't even know. I thought I did have it muted.
Unless it was just me, but I heard some. No, it couldn't have been me. So, all right, Bullock, you're number 1. I already know who it is, but just put us out of our misery anyway.
Yeah, it is the New England Patriots. They're the number 1 team in the power rankings once again, and probably the favorite to come out of the AFC to represent the AFC in Super Bowl 51. And like you said, they've won 7 in a row, and they look to be the healthiest of all the teams going into the playoffs, and they could possibly get Danny Amendola back for the playoffs. So that's a
Wow,
little,
that's huge.
yeah, and that could be huge in the return game, especially, and even in the wide receiving position. So yeah, so this and people were criticizing the Patriots. For some of the trades they made, especially on the defensive side, with Chandler Jones getting traded to Arizona, and then of course the whole Jamie Collins trade. And people were saying, "Oh, this defense isn't going to be good," but to be quite honest, if you look at some of the numbers, the Patriots have been playing better defensively ever since they traded Jamie Collins. So once again, it makes Bill Belichick look like a genius when making these moves. So, and I don't know why these haters continue to doubt him whenever a trade like that is made. But it is what it is. So I expect nothing else out of this team, and I think the only team that could be a threat to the Patriots, and I think it's the team we had at number 2, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I agree.
Yeah, but because remember, they did meet in the regular season, but remember, well, they did have Le'Veon Bell, they did have Antonio Brown, but they didn't have their quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger.
That's right, Landry Jones.
Yeah, Landry Jones started that game, so imagine what a lift that would be. But the thing is, this game, the AFC Championship game, it's not going to be in Pittsburgh. It's in Foxborough.
If it comes down to it.
If it comes down to that. If it does end up being these two, and if this was in Pittsburgh, then Pittsburgh maybe would have a chance. But because it's in if this match would happen, and of course we know it would be in Foxborough, you can't go against the Patriots when they play at home. So New England Patriots, number 1. So Florio, let's put a bow on this edition of Football Friday.
Indeed, we will, Bullet. That will do it for this this rather shortened edition of Strictly Sports Football Friday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. And we're going to wrap it up with our quick shout-outs. And Michael Bullock, we'll start with you, and then I'll wrap it up with the future content.
All right. Of course, shout-outs to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this or, of course, Ridiculously Raw or the Cerebral Smack Talk. Of course, shout-outs to our First Lady in the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson, and, of course, to Megan Silva, and, of course, to the rest of the Woodson family, and of course other super fans, Matt Ward and Jason Hicksonbaugh, and of course to all of our friends from our high school days. You guys know who you are, and of course to Michael Fletcher, who couldn't be with us, whether it was work commitments or whether he went out tonight. So shout out to him, and of course to Derek Ferrera as well, and of course to our news personalities from 610 and 12, our personalities from ESPN, Fox Sports, MLB Network, NFL Network, NHL Network, NBA TV, all those great networks, and of course the State of Sorrell and Lindsay McCormick, and of course our friends from the Roadshow, the former co-hosts Mary Larson and Megan Mooney, and of course the current people, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson. So yeah, so that's going to do it for me. So until Monday night for an all-new edition of Ridiculously Raw, where it's going to be a big show, to say the very least. Of course, you got the return of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Of course, the return of my man, The Undertaker. And I found out about this earlier today. We got ourselves a 2-on-1 handicap match for the United States Championship. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho going up against Roman Reigns. So very interesting to see what happens with that. So, and we'll definitely review all of that. So until then, This is Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. And of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy all the wild card action, and most importantly, with this snowstorm that's going to be coming, stay safe, everybody. And I think the most important thing we need to let everyone know is just stay home tomorrow, because I mean, it's going to be crappy out there. So stay safe out there, everybody. So Florio, take us home.
Yes, indeed, Bullock. We're slated, I believe, in our area, we're slated to get somewhere between 5 and 8 inches of snow tomorrow. So yeah, we definitely want to wish you all the best out there. Unless you're like a doctor or a nurse or something like that, or if you're like a plow driver or whatever. Like Bullock said, just take it easy tomorrow. That's all I can say. Don't make any plans. Don't make any family plans or friend plans or what have you. You can stay in for just one day. It's not going to kill you. So with that being said, let's get on to my portion of the shout outs here. Of course, special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our shows as ridiculously over as they are. We appreciate it as always. Of course, special shout out to the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, the Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Whitson, and the Whitson family. Of course, shout outs to Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonbaugh, Daniel Chubb from the UK, our other First Ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway. Our other crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Braderson, and Rob Parsons, and of course, good old MF Michael Fletcher, who couldn't be with us tonight. Like I said, I don't know if it was work commitments or if he had plans with his friends or whatever tonight. So unfortunately, he couldn't be with us. Check out his YouTube videos. Like I said, he did them earlier this afternoon. And then from there, the man responsible for all of this, of course, that being Derek Ferreras, so the Hardcore Pipe Bombs. So all of our personalities from 6, 10, and 12, all of our friends over at ESPN, Fox Sports 1, NFL Network, NHL Network, MLB Network, NBA TV, the whole 9 yards, and some personal special shout outs on my end. Of course, Stata Sorrell, we can't forget about her. We want to see some new videos from her soon. Of course, our friends from the Road Show, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson, along with former co-hosts Megan Mooney and Mary Larson, and some special shout-outs on my end to some of the special women personalities that I follow. Well, of course, Lindsay McCormick. You know how I stand with that. My other friends, of course, Julie Alexandria from the San Diego Padres, Tony Collins from ESPN. Chantel McCabe from the Golf Channel. Want to give her a special shout out. Kelly Nash from MLB Network and NHL Network at times. And Julianne Peixoto from Channel 12, Bianca Bono from Channel 6. And I think that takes care of that. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, my wonderful church family over at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence. If you need a church home, check them out. Exit 25 off of Route 95. Another Sunday morning service coming up. Not sure if there will be a 9 a.m. Bible study. We'll see. But I do know there will be a 10 a.m. service on Sunday. I'm sure hopefully the weather will cooperate with that. And then Wednesday night, Bible study at 7 and, other things going on. So check them out. They're wonderful. Love them all to death. And that'll do it for this. So, next time we'll be with you, of course, will be Monday night. Following Monday Night Raw for another all-new edition of Ridiculously Raw. I'll be here. Both will be here. Hopefully we'll have MF here. And I think we should have Dee Dee Whitson with us as well, as she now has that new system that she found. So hopefully we can get her back in as well on Monday night for another edition of Ridiculously Raw. We'll review the Monday Night Raw, the appearances of The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. And that's breaking news to me. I didn't even know that they had already made that 2-on-1 handicap match for the United States Heavyweight Championship. But okay, that should be interesting. Universal Champion Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho teaming up against Roman Reigns with the U.S. title on the line. Maybe this is finally where Roman loses the belt here. We'll see. That all goes down Monday night from the Smoothie King Arena in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I'll also have my reviews of 205 Live and the first Impact Wrestling show of the new year, which featured 2 championship matches. So I'll get into that. And then Tuesday night, 10:30, 10 or 10, it's either at 10 or 10:30 over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95. Cerebral Smack Talk will be on the air. We'll review SmackDown Live, those 3 big matches. Baron Corbin against John Cena, Nikki Bella against Natalya, and the rematch for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, American Alpha. First title defense for them against the team they won those titles from on the final show of 2016 in Chicago, that being the Wyatt family. We don't know which 2 members it'll be, but we'll find out soon enough on Tuesday. We'll review SmackDown Live, and MF will have his Mikey's Mindset with Lucha Underground, maybe some ROH, we'll see. And then next Friday night, another edition of Strictly Sports, as the only thing I know for the docket next week will be our preview of the 4 divisional playoff games in Atlanta, New England, Kansas City, and Dallas. So we'll have all of that next week. We don't know what else there is. I think we'll probably be switching to another sport for power rankings. My guess is we'll probably be doing NHL power rankings for the first time, and maybe some other news stories that need to be addressed. And I don't know if Derek Ferrer will have a docket for us, but we'll see what happens come next week. So that'll do it for this. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Flair here for Michael Bullock and in spirit, good old MF Michael Fletcher, the Twisted Angel Didi Woodson, and of course the hardcore pipe bomb himself, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. And for all of you here within the New England area, especially around Rhode Island and Massachusetts, please stay safe. Take it easy out there. If you absolutely positively have to be out there because of work commitments or whatever, be careful out there. It's gonna be very tough tomorrow. I mean, 5 to 8 inches, or altogether like 6 to 10 within the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area. So yeah, it's gonna be nasty, folks. So take it easy out there. Be extra careful out there. Stay safe. Don't do anything stupid. So that's all I can say on that. So enjoy all the NFL playoff action. And on Monday night on Ridiculously Raw, we'll not only get into Raw and 205 Live and Impact Wrestling, but we'll also have real-time updates, if as necessary, of the college football playoff national championship game. We will keep an eye on that. You better believe it. We'll cover that. We'll have updates whenever these guys see fit. So we'll be bringing you that too. So huge night Monday. We cannot wait. So that's it for this. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. And you've been watching Strictly Sports Football Friday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. For now, Anthony Florio, so long.